Brothers and sisters, this is not the end. This is just the beginning. Together, when we stand united, when we don't allow Trump or anybody else to divide us up by the color of our skin or where we were born or our sexual orientation, when we stand together, we will create the kind of nation that you and I know we can become.
Well, that, of course, was Senator Bernie Sanders firing up the crowd at the No Kings rally in D.C. He's also been traveling around the country on his Fighting Oligarchy tour, which is also the subject of his latest book. Please welcome Senator Bernie Sanders. We just saw you speaking to the crowd at D.C.'s No Kings protest on Saturday. And as we know, you have a long history of taking it to the streets. You've been arrested.
Not so loud, don't tell me.
Oh, no. You know what? So have they. But how proud of you, how proud were you to see the country get themselves together, get up and get out and say, no, this is not what we want?
It was an extraordinary moment.
Yeah.
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 Size does matter.
Yeah. Correct.
And to know, Whoopi, that this was taking place not only in large cities, but in small towns all over America. I think it was something like 26,000 different rallies.
Yeah.
And more people came out to say no to Trumpism than in any single day in the history of America. And we should all be very proud of that.
Yeah.
And can we talk a minute about your Republican colleagues and their reaction to these protests? So they've been pretty dismissive. In fact, they've not been dismissive. It's really gotten under their thin little skin. And Mike Johnson was calling it a Hate America rally. Trump called protesters whacked out and put out that video we showed earlier, dumping sewage on them. Coming on the heels of White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt, who called Democrats' main constituency are made up of Hamas terrorists, illegal aliens, and violent criminals. You know, I'm so old, I remember when they had a cow over Hillary Clinton calling some of Trump supporters deplorables, but somehow calling Democrats Hamas, illegal aliens, and violent criminals is okay. Do you think this is performative, or do you think this is actually how they feel about their fellow Americans who happen to be Democrats?
I think they are fomenting hatred. When you have the Speaker of the House say this is a Hate America rally, why did people come out? They came out to defend the Constitution of the United States.
Right.
All right? To defend the basic freedoms. To say to Donald Trump, you know what? You cannot send the military into Portland, Oregon. You cannot take people off the street with masked men, throw them into vans, and deport them to South Sudan.
Yeah.
You can't go after the media, right?
Yeah.
To intimidate the media, to intimidate law firms, to intimidate universities. That is not what this country is about. You know what? And I said this in my speech. Millions of men and women throughout the history of this country, going way back when, have put their lives on the line to defend freedom. And freedom means you disagree with me, that's fine.
Right.
You want to run against me, that's called democracy. But we will not give more and more power to one person who, in my mind, is a megalomaniac, who is a pathological liar.
Yeah.
All right? That is not what this country is about. And that is what the No Kings rally was, to my mind, saying.
Well, and Senator, as you mentioned, this weekend's rallies drew millions, and you've also been touring the country with Representative AOC on your Fight the Oligarchy tour, which is also the name of your new book. And you've drawn tens of thousands at every event, including in some red states. But I want to ask, how do you see this momentum translating into outcomes? Because right now, the Democratic Party has the lowest approval rating in 35 years, and they lag Republicans in new voter registration by 4.5 million votes.
All right, look, I'm an independent. As you know, I caucus and have always caucused with the Democrats because I see them as much preferable to the Republicans. I think the Democratic Party has got to make a very fundamental decision, okay? I think that Trump won a lot of working class people, not because they wanted tax breaks for billionaires, not because they wanted to throw 15 million people off the health care they have or double health insurance premiums. That is not why working class people voted for Trump. I think they voted for Trump because they looked at the Democrats and they said, what do you stand for? Which side are you on? Now, there was a time, some of us are old enough to remember.
Don't look at me.
All right, when actually the Democratic Party was pretty clear. It stood with the working class of this country.
Right.
And we need the Democratic Party once again to say to their billionaire friends, thank you, and their corporate sponsors, thank you. We're going to stand with the working class of this country, and we're going to address the reality that today, 60% of our people in the richest country in the history of the world will be, when the billionaires are doing phenomenally well, 60% of our people are living paycheck to paycheck. I grew up in a family. I know something about that. Sure you did as well.
Yeah.
All right? People can't afford health care. They can't afford child care. The housing costs are off the charts. You can't afford decent quality food for your kids. Am I right?
True.
All right. And the Democrats have got to say, you know what? We're going to stand with the working class. For example, health care is a human right, not a privilege.
So, Senator, we're now on day 20 of the government shutdown. And the longer this goes on, it seems to play into the president's hands as he wants to continue firing federal workers, and he is defunding Democratic priorities and shrinking the government long term. Now, Majority Leader Thune has offered Democrats a vote to extend Obamacare subsidies if they just agree to end the shutdown. Are you on board with that just to get this over with?
No, because that would not get it over with. I want to see the shutdown ended tomorrow. Got a lot of good, decent, hardworking federal employees not getting their paychecks. That is not right. But I want to explain to everybody really what's at stake, because I don't know that people are clear about it. As a result of Trump's big, beautiful bill, which to my mind was one of the worst pieces of legislation passed in modern history, this is what is going to happen. 15 million low-income and working-class Americans are going to lose their health insurance. Studies indicate that when you take away health insurance for so many people, you know what happens? 50,000 people will die unnecessarily every single year. 50,000 of our fellow Americans. And then on top of that, and people are now in Vermont and around the country getting their notices from insurance companies.
Right.
In my state of Vermont, people are getting notices that their premiums, which are now outrageously high, are going to triple, in some cases quadruple, on average nationally double. Why did Trump and the Republicans do this? In order to pay for a $1 trillion tax break for the 1%, for Mr. Musk and Mr. Bezos and all of these multi-billionaires. So in good conscience, to answer your question, I cannot go back to the people in Vermont or any place else in this country and say, I'm going to vote to allow 50,000 of our fellow Americans
But even
to
if
die.
they offer to vote on that separately...
The vote doesn't mean anything. The vote doesn't mean anything. You're going to have a vote, so the vote loses. You can have a vote even if it wins the House. You know where the House is right now?
Even though the majority of Americans do want these subsidies extended.
Overwhelming majority,
yes.
Republicans and Democrats. That's the point. What I am talking about, you tell me, am I wrong in saying that the overwhelming majority of Americans, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, do not think it's a great idea to give tax breaks to billionaires and throw 15 million people off the health care they have?
Correct.
Is that right?
Yeah. But what do you see as the end game then?
The end game is, look, Trump may be crazy, and he may be a liar, and he may do, you describe, I mean, hard to imagine a president, I mean, I don't know what world these guys are living in. President of the United States, dropping feces on an American city.
Right.
All right, they may be all of those things, but this is what they are not. They're not stupid. And they are good politicians. And they're going to look at, if you think you're, why do you think the Republicans are hiding out right now?
Yeah.
Mike Johnson, the speaker, has given them, I got in their 5th week of vacation.
Yeah.
They're not coming to work. You want to negotiate, they ain't there. All right, so I think that when people all over this country are looking at these notices and say, I can't pay a doubling of my health insurance premiums,
Right.
Republicans will understand that and come to the table.
Do you know what would be powerful, though, is if
hold on
Congress
one
didn't take their
second.
money while they were waiting? Because right now, it's hard to imagine it's incentivized. It's easier for the politicians in D.C. to go away from each other and say, we will win this way, while people are losing their paychecks. If Congress just said, we're not going to take our paychecks till we figure this out, that would be a noble step in the right direction, I would say.
That's not everybody can afford to do. You got some young people there with kids.
Either can the people that arenn't getting paid, though,
I think
and
that's
there's
a fair
holdout.
point. I think that's a fair point. But what's also a fair point is nobody I know in America can afford a doubling of their health insurance premiums.
There's at least 2 Republicans in the House who've come out in favor of extending Obamacare subsidies for 1 year. Mike Lawler and Marjorie Taylor Greene.
At least 1 year.
More, actually, they're more than that. I think.
So it could potentially pass the House.
I think. Look, here's.
Can you believe you're on the same side as
As
Marjorie Taylor Greene?
No, right, but
Yeah.
she has kids and she understands the
Yeah,
reality. They can't afford health.
Yep.
You said you referred to her as one of the good Republicans.
Well, this is
Right
what
now.
concerns me. I mean, aside from everything else that we're talking about, it is very natural that if you have a Democratic president, Democrats will be largely supportive. Republicans, same thing. But under Trump, it's a little bit different. What you really have now is almost a cult of the individual, where Republicans, with very few exceptions, who are prepared to stay up. Well, Mr. President, I represent my district. I don't work for you. I represent my people. And you're wrong. Very few Republicans are willing to do that. And the reason is that the day they do that, billionaires, the Musks of the world will say, we're going to primary you. We have unlimited amounts of money. We're going to defeat you.
But the most interesting thing is that all of these primaries depend not on them, but on you.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.